Good morning/afternoon/evening today. I want to talk about a concept that seems simple on the surface, but it holds a powerful truth beneath it. When you focus on yourself and stay silent. We live in a world where noise is currency, attention is traded, opinions are broadcasted, and silence is often misunderstood as weakness. But science and experience say otherwise. Silence, paired with self-focus, isn't withdrawal, it's strategic alignment. It's growth, it's clarity. Let's explore why. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change and adapt, is the foundation of all growth. Whether you're trying to build a new skill, break a habit, or shift your mindset, neuroplasticity is what makes that transformation possible. But here's the part most people miss. Neuroplasticity is not something that just happens randomly. It's not passive. It responds to where you place your attention. When your attention is fragmented, pulled in every direction by external noise, validation, seeking, or constant comparison, your brain is in reactive mode. It's surviving, not evolving. But when you focus inward, when your attention becomes deliberate and sustained, the brain shifts into a mode where rewiring can truly take place. It starts to form new connections, strengthen useful pathways, and prune the ones that no longer serve you. In simple terms, focusing on yourself isn't selfish, it's biological optimization. It's how you turn intent into change. In silence, the mind isn't idle, it's doing its deepest work. You begin to notice your thought patterns. You catch your inner dialogue. You become aware of how you're wired and, more importantly, how to rewire. This is why growth rarely happens in the spotlight. It happens in the quiet hours when no one's watching. Not because you're hiding, but because you're finally paying attention to the only thing that truly determines your future, your inner state. There's a specific network in the brain called the default mode network. It becomes active when we're not focused on the external world, when we're quiet, introspective, and alone with our thoughts. This state isn't wasted time. It's when the brain performs some of its most critical internal tasks, integrating memories, assessing our identity, projecting future scenarios, and making sense of complex emotions. In silence, without the distractions of noise and conversation, the brain is free to explore deeper layers of self-awareness. You begin to reflect on why you do, what truly matters, and what's just noise you've been conditioned to respond to. It's in these moments that insight arises, the kind that doesn't come from reading more or talking more, but from listening inwardly. This kind of internal processing sharpens intuition and helps you align your actions with your values. When you're always talking, always reacting, that space for reflection disappears. But when you stay silent and direct your focus inward, the brain begins to connect seemingly unrelated pieces of information, and that's where clarity emerges. It's not magic, it's neuroscience. The default mode network is your internal compass, but it only activates when you stop trying to be heard and start trying to understand. Every day, you wake up with a limited reserve of mental and physical energy. That's not a mindset issue, it's biological. The brain operates on finite metabolic resources, and how you allocate that energy determines the quality of your focus, your mood, and your productivity. The problem is that most people spend the majority of their energy reacting to texts, to opinions, to distractions, to things that ultimately don't move them forward. When you focus on yourself and stay silent, what you're really doing is conserving energy for what matters. You're not wasting your cognitive fuel on proving yourself or engaging in battles that add no value. Instead, you direct your attention inward toward growth, learning, healing, execution. In this state, your mind becomes sharper. You're less scattered, more deliberate. You're able to sit with discomfort, resist urges, and make decisions based on logic rather than emotion. It's not about isolation, it's about alignment. Every moment of silence becomes an investment. Every task completed without distraction strengthens discipline. Every time you resist the urge to explain yourself, you build inner strength. Energy is one of the most underestimated currencies in personal transformation. When you stop spending it on what drains you and start using it to build the life you want, the results compound. Quiet isn't just peace, it's power. Change doesn't happen in chaos. It happens in structure, and structure is shaped by your environment. Your brain is constantly scanning the space around you, absorbing cues, forming habits, and adapting to patterns. If your environment is filled with distraction, negativity, or noise, your nervous system stays in a reactive state. You're training yourself to survive, not evolve. But when you intentionally create distance from distractions, whether that's people, content, or even conversations that don't align with your direction, you regain control. You're not just removing noise, you're crafting a setting that supports focus, clarity, and consistency. In neuroscience, this is known as context-dependent plasticity. Your brain changes based on the context it's operating in. When you stay silent and redirect attention to yourself, your environment becomes a container for discipline, a place where you're no longer pulled by opinions or overstimulation. It becomes a space where you can observe your thoughts, track your habits, and refine your actions. Growth becomes less about motivation and more about design. You're no longer hoping to change, you're setting up conditions where change becomes inevitable. This isn't avoidance, it's engineering. You're not escaping the world, you're choosing a space where you can build something real before re-engaging with it in moments of tension when someone challenges you, criticizes you, or provokes an emotional response. Your brain enters a reactive state. The amygdala, the part responsible for fear and emotional arousal, activates almost instantly. This is your survival system firing up. But growth doesn't come from reacting. It comes from regulating. And that requires silence. When you stay silent instead of immediately responding, you create a neurological buffer. That pause allows your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for rational thinking and impulse control, to come online. You're giving yourself a chance to interpret, not just react. You move from survival to strategy. This isn't just emotional maturity, it's cognitive control. It's a trained ability to delay gratification, to resist the need to prove something, and to choose actions that serve your long-term goals rather than your short-term emotions. Silence is what makes that possible. It slows the process down just enough for wisdom to enter. With time, this habit of pausing rewires your brain. You become less triggered. You stop personalizing everything. You respond with precision, not just emotion. In relationships, in business, in personal growth, that ability is everything. So when you stay silent, especially when it's hardest, you're not giving up power, you're cultivating it. You're teaching your brain that not every impulse deserves your energy, and not every situation needs your voice. Sometimes the strongest response is none at all. Real growth is often invisible at first. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't seek approval. It builds slowly in silence, in repetition, in the moments when no one is watching. That's because true transformation is internal long before it ever becomes external. And when you focus on yourself, away from the noise, you give that process the attention it needs to mature. In the beginning, there's no applause, no validation. It's just you, your habits, your discipline, and your consistency. And that's exactly why it works. Without the pressure to perform or explain yourself, your only competition becomes your previous self. You're not distracted by comparison. You're anchored in progress. Over time, this internal shift begins to show. Your energy changes, your posture changes, your choices become sharper, your results begin to speak, and when they do, they speak louder than anything you could have said. That's the paradox. The quieter you become, the more undeniable your growth becomes. People notice, opportunities appear, but by then, you no longer crave the recognition because the work has already changed you. What once felt like effort has become your standard. What once required silence now radiates confidence. Focusing on yourself and staying silent isn't a withdrawal from the world. it's preparation. It's the quiet construction of something solid, so when the world finally pays attention, you're not scrambling to prove who you are. You already know. So when you focus on yourself and stay silent, you're not isolating, you're aligning. You're not avoiding the world, you're preparing to face it with more clarity, more strength, and more control. Inward focus is not a retreat, it's a recalibration. Silence is not weakness, it's a strategy. Growth, mastery, emotional control, these don't happen in chaos. They happen in moments of stillness, in the discipline of choosing your energy, in the decision to pause before you react, in the refusal to explain a process that's still unfolding within you. This is how you evolve, not by making noise, but by making progress. Let the world speculate while you build, let them wonder while you train, and when the results finally speak, they will be loud enough for everyone to hear. Thank you.